Hello everybody. Well, you obviously clicked on the video despite the title, so I hope this is not too painful. And don't you worry, I will make a follow-up video where I will discuss why this is the best car I've ever owned. But I figured we would start with a bang, and this will be an objective look. This will be the look at this car as it relates to my other vehicles that I owned in my, as of the filming of this video, 36 years of life, out of which the last 20 years I got, you know, been spent driving and owning cars. I got my driver's license the day I turned 16. That was one of my birthday presents. And the second birthday present was I got a family brother connection on a 97 Chevy Cavalier. And, you know, I owned all the cars that I will be listing. So 97 Cavalier 2-door, 2003 Nissan Sentra, and this is the Sentra 2.5 limited edition. So basically a Sentra with an Ultima engine. Got an 07 Toyota Camry 4-cylinder XLE, which was like the luxury version. 2010 Buick LaCrosse, 2013 Hyundai Elantra, 2016 Subaru Forester, and you know the 2006 Lincoln Town Car. So this is a look of why I think this is the worst car I've ever owned, for a very simple reason. It's unlike any of the other cars I ever owned. It has its faults, and some of it it's not its fault, but the other portion of it, as it relates to other cars that I will be exploring here. So let's start from the most obvious. This is the worst car I've ever owned because my wife doesn't want to get in it, and just about everybody in my family thinks that this is a dumb purchase decision. Now, nobody told me that I overpaid, but everybody told me, oh my God, why did you buy this thing? You know, it's big, it's old, it's outdated, it has mechanical problems, it has interior problems. Now, I'm filming this, by the way, just so that you guys know, I'm filming this middle of September because I have some free time. But I will be strategically posting it around December when my options for filming will be limited, you know, because this plaza you guys might recognize, you know, it's the same plaza where I shot my first video. It's been used for Amazon trucks, it's been using for these trailers here. I'm not exactly sure what the deal is, but it's just as abandoned now as it was a year and a half ago. So anyway, so yeah, this car, it's hated. My wife doesn't want to get in it. She's been in it probably 3 times, and a couple of those things is because her car was in the shop, her 2016 Subaru Forester. But yeah, I have not had the same experience with any of the cars I owned, you know, including arguably crappier cars like the Chevy Cavalier, or the Sentra, or the Camry, Buick. Actually, everybody loved my Buick. Kind of everybody respects the Forester. This car gets no respect from my immediate family members and a few friends, okay? Obviously, for you guys who are in the Panther community, and obviously those who are watching this video, the vast majority, you know, you love this car, and technically so do I, but everybody in my family hates it. All right. Second thing. It's a luxury car, right? Town car. It's not very luxury. It doesn't have, even for 2006, it doesn't have any like technologically advanced features for even for the 2006. And if you think about this car, you know, being pretty much the same way up until 2011, it's ridiculous that a car in 2011 would still be equipped like this, with this as standard, you know? Yeah, I know it had a nav system, but man, the nav system was pretty crappy. It had this type of gauge cluster, you know. It's crazy to think that up until 2006 it didn't even have a tachometer. You know, my Sentra had a tachometer. My Cavalier did not have a tachometer because I think they only put a tachometer on Chevy Cavalier Z24s. But so yeah, so that's really the only car that did not have a tachometer for me in my history. Every other ones did. All right. Now you look, so that's kind of another point. Yeah, it's a luxury car that has leather heated seats, and in this case, optional sunroof. So even the sunroofs didn't come as standard. My Camry had a sunroof. My Sentra, my Sentra did have a sunroof too. Buick had a sunroof. Elantra did not. Forester actually has a huge sunroof. So, yeah, so there's that. Another thing, it's a huge car, right? Like lengthwise. I know it's not as long as some of the older ones. So it's huge. It is the longest car I've owned. Obviously, you know, the Buick, I mean, it was big, but no, it was much shorter. But I think it has pretty crappy use of space. It has a huge trunk. We all know that. Let's see. Huge trunk. So there you go. We all know that. We all sometimes love it, I guess. I mean, I see a lot of posts about it. And it has a huge hood. And we all know that. We kind of love it. But the interior space, you know, it's not a lot. It's really not a lot of interior space. I mean, there's a reason why, you know, this seat is all the way forward. Now, yes, it's a lot of room, but look at this. Look, this is the seat all the way back. I should not need to move the seat at being 5'11" all the way back and move those adjustable pedals all the way forward in order to fit comfortable in it, which leaves, you know, my, at the time of the filming, 5-year-old, only this much room. Now, thank God, he doesn't kick the seat. I mean, he's a good kid. He understands not to do that. But this should have way more space. So take a little bit away from the front, take a little bit away from the back, and that should have been, so whatever the L version was, that should have been a standard interior room. And then if they wanted even more room, they should have made an even longer version. That's kind of my thing. So now all the other cars that I had, okay, Sentra, yes, Sentra was smaller. But you know what, Camry had some decent room in the back too. Oh, and you know what? Another thing on the Camry, it had reclining back seats. Now this is, keep in mind, it's a 2000, it was, you know, for me, 2007 Camry. The back seats would go back about this much. It had like a little, like a pull tab, like in this area of the seat, pull on it, and it had reclining seats in an 07 Camry. This is an 06 town car. The seat doesn't recline, and it cannot fold it. Now in this setup, even if you could fold it, I mean, what could you possibly do with it? But yeah, so not a lot of good use of space. All right, what else? What else you got? Well, this is the only car that I had, that I owned, at least so far in my life, that has all the problems. Now, some of them are fixed. Some of them are still ongoing as of the filming of this video. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time, you know, talking about it because I have plenty of videos on this. The only car I ever owned that had water leaks on the interior. Right now, I fixed it, at least as of the filming of this. It's not to say that another leak can't spring up on us. So leak here. Never had a water leak in any of the cars, including the Cavalier, the Sentra, none of those. Had a sunroof leak. Never had a sunroof leak. On a LaCrosse, it had a big panoramic one. Not only the front portion would open, but the glass extended out. Never leaked. I never had any of the cars have peeling rims. Now, yes, these rims are very dirty, so I flex sealed them, right? We all know that stuff. It's been holding fine. You know, the winter is coming, so, yeah. So never had, I mean, I had curbed rims, and I'm sure I've curbed my rims somewhere, somehow. I remember on a LaCrosse I did once, but I never had them peel on any of the cars. Now, the Sentra had rims, Camry, Elantra, yeah, all the cars I had except for the Cavalier had rims. None of them were peeling. What else? Oh, of course, there's a truck there coming. So I never had a problem with the sunken seats. Never. Now, these town cars, and I think the Grand Marquis, oh, come on, truck, go away. and a Cavalier. None of the cars I had ever had the seat that would sunk in. Now, I got this car at 89,000 miles, but you guys probably already know this. There are town cars out there and Panther cars out there with the seats. They're like, the mileage is way less, but the seats are sunk. There's something wrong with the design of these seats. They make them very comfy, but they made them very easy to self-destruct. All right. Never had a panel that would fall out of here, and somebody before I bought it having to use Gorilla Glue. All right. I'm filming this as of the moment of my climate control going crazy. So I've had some videos out there where, and as I'm filming of this, the problem still exists. I haven't had it fixed yet. It's coming, but not as of the moment. Where I select, I want it to blow on out of the vents, it blows on feet, or it blows instead of the defrost, it comes out of the dash. Never had that issue with any of the cars. And I had auto climate controls. The Camry had an auto climate control. The LaCrosse had it. Yeah, it just worked. The Sentra did not. The Sentra had the manual stuff. Never had the the steering wheel starting to peel. I never had a coolant leak inside. So this one has a, well, had, fix that. So that's kind of what I'm talking about, is that just talking about it, I'm reinforcing my own thing. It's like, wow, it's a pretty bad car when I compare it to everything else that I own. Oh, let's not forget headlights, right? I think that's a bug. Maybe about 6 months after I bought it, the headlights started to go getting moisture inside, so I had to replace them. And then this one started to get moisture on the replacement, so this is my hillbilly fix there. So that's been fixed. So once again, I never had a car, even the crappy Cavalier, never had to bother with moisture in the headlights on none of the cars. Let me now talk about the rust. Holy crap. Now, I don't want to say that none of my other cars had ever had any rust on it, but oh wow, like this thing is rust, like rust galore. One of the first things I did when I bought this car, and it had these fender and quarter panel chrome strips on it, I started seeing bubbling about a month after I bought it. Now, I do have to admit, I should have checked for rust before buying it. I don't think it would have changed my mind as far as buying the car, but yeah, I never had a car that was so rusty. And I had all my, by the way, none of my cars, anything that I listed, I never owned a house yet. And when I lived with parents, the garage was not something that I used. So none of my cars ever had, been garaged. So this thing, I bought it, it's a rust bucket underneath that. Now on the outside, yeah, you guys can see the two-tone paint job. You guys, pointed this out on more than one occasion. And that's my fix for that. I paid a pretty cheap body shop to do it, so it's still rusty. I mean, you guys know from my other videos. So yeah, never had a car with so much rust, especially on the outside of the bodywork, but don't even get me started underneath. All right, let's talk about this. The engine. Now, this is the first and only car so far in my life that has a V8. All my other cars were either the 4-cylinders or 6-cylinder. The only 6-cylinder I owned was a Buick. Now, we all know about the 4.6 liter, the legendary engine, right? We all know. We can talk about it for days, right? But this car gets pretty bad gas mileage. This is the worst gas mileage car I've had, and it develops less horsepower, right? So this is a 2006, and I'm going to compare it to my 2010 Buick LaCrosse, right? That had a 3.6 liter V6 with, I think, 290 horsepower. So smaller engine, better gas mileage, more horsepower. This is a 4.6 liters with 239 horsepower. And I'm averaging on a good, highway cruise 20, I don't know. I mean, 20, 21 maybe. I know some of you post that you guys are getting 26, 28. I don't know. I'm not getting it. So I believe you, but you're going to have to believe me that I'm not getting it. And on my LaCrosse, I would get 25, 26 in a 6-cylinder. So why? I don't know. Because, well, I know because this engine is ancient and it does what it does well, but when you compare it to other cars, like, you know, I'm comparing it to a Camry, right? I think it had a 2.4 liter. I don't remember the horsepower. I don't know, like 180, 190, something like that. But yeah, this thing drinks gas. It costs during, you know, current prices in Illinois for gas, I think it's like $3.89. And, well, as of September, so I don't know what's going to be in December or whatever. And, yeah, it costs like 65 bucks to refuel. So there's that. I mean, what else? Okay, so it had a coolant leak in here. None of my cars ever had that. Yeah. So what else can I tell you? Why is this the worst car? Oh, let's talk about the money I spent on this car. Now, this is not the most expensive car I bought. This is only the second car I ever bought that's used. First one was the Cavalier. All the other cars were bought new. So obviously no warranty on this thing, but so I paid, all right. So I paid $7,000 for it. Yes, I traded in an Elantra, so obviously it was cheaper than that. But so I spent, it was just very simple math. I spent $5,000 last year alone on fixing it, between all the fixes. Now, and the maintenance too, right? Because I changed the rear brake pads and rotors. And then this year I changed the front. So let's talk about all the maintenance and all the repair. I have a video out there, check it out. And I will be making another video next year where I'm going to tally up everything that I spent on it in 2021. But I've spent over $5,000 last year alone on fixing it, right? Now, I don't know, I can't do a quick math in my head, but it's over 50% of the value. I know that much. So I never had to spend so much money on getting this thing maintained. So how does that work? You buy a car for $7 grand, you dump $5 more grand into it. I think so far this year, as of the filming of this, I only spent like $340, something like that. So this year has been much better, but I'm saying that before my HVAC system is going to be fixed. So now, taking all this into account, right? You tell me, compared to all the other cars that I've listed here, is this a good car? Is this a car that drinks gas, doesn't use the space efficiently, breaks down more often than all of my other cars combined? Nobody likes it. I don't know. Wear and tear, I mean, and probably this car has the most potential of basically folding itself in half when the frame rusts through, which is probably going to happen. Yeah. Oh, well, let's end with let's end with the last thing. It has so many things to keep an eye on. Otherwise, it's going to self-destruct. And I'm talking about cleaning the crap out of there. That's got to happen, right? Because if these ducts get clogged up, it's going to start leaking inside again, right? We all know about that cowl thing on this side, right? We don't know about this area. It has that little hole over here in the gas tank that if you don't keep this, well, if you don't keep that little hole clean, that's going to self-destruct and is going to rust through. Yep, we're talking about there. Right? Oh! It's the only car I ever had with a sagging door. You know, none of the other cars had a sagging door. This is the only car that when you use a door handle, right, let's call this a door handle, right, it is a handle after all, if you actually use it as intended, it's gonna make itself loose because it's a crappy design. They couldn't design a freaking door pull where it just stays, like for the 30 years it's just gonna stay. Nope, you have to retighten them. Chances are you're gonna break the plastic. It's bad, you know. Lacks any modern stuff. It still has the little green and, you know, the black display there that's probably could be used in a 10-year car that's older, and it's going to be in place there. But by 2006 and definitely by 2011, there's no need to have that. Yeah. So is this a good car? Well, the only thing I have to say to wrap up this video is stay tuned for my part 2, where I will explore why this is the best car that I've ever had. And I will be using the same comparison, don't you worry. And we'll talk about it. And hopefully you haven't unsubscribed by now, because it was just too difficult to hear. All right, everybody, we'll see ya.